First of all, let me compliment all of you on the 79th Independence Day that we have assembled today to celebrate. And while I address to each one of you here, I would like to share my thoughts for the entire Oil India who is working relentlessly towards the energy security of the country. Now we have very pleased to announce that we have been able to sustain our performances in terms of financial and physical during the Q1 just we concluded, but we have a huge responsibility to maintain our physical and financial performances. I would also like to share my thoughts on the positives that we have encountered, that we have shared, that we have witnessed during the last 6 months. I would also like to share with all of you what is the next, what is the future of Oil India Limited. Where do we foresee, where do we intend to travel, where do we want to take this beloved company of ours. But first of all, with huge respect and reverence for all those freedom fighters, for all those soldiers who are taking care of the borders, protecting us, for all those security personnels who are protecting our assets, for all those people who are working in the field, a huge round of applause on this momentous day. With fond memory, while we recall the contributions and sacrifices of all those freedom fighters, we must also acknowledge the efforts, the sacrifices, and most importantly, the vision of those yesteryear leaders who has saved these nice institutions, I would say, or temples of the country, the public sector undertakings. And one of them is your beloved company, our beloved company, Oil India Limited. We have been doing fairly well, and I must compliment each one of you, the entire Oil India fraternity, a huge round of applause to each one of the Oil Indians. Now, having got or having accorded the Maharatna status, the expectation level of the country at large, of our ministry specifically, but most importantly, the stakeholders of Oil India Limited has increased. And I'm sure all of you should know, yesterday we had the investor interactions, and I'm aware that our team which has interacted with the investors have been very, very specifically answered to all those questions to offer an assurance. And when we give these assurances to our investors, to our stakeholders, we give it on our behalf, and it's a collective effort that matters. In the recent times, we have done a lot of activities in terms of production. We are on track, but that's not enough. We all know that we are operating out of upper part of Assam, where the market for natural gas is still constrained. But we need to do more on natural gas front. And most importantly, we need to do more on crude oil front. I must compliment the Oil Indian team, specifically the Rajasthan field team, led by ED Rajasthan field, to do something very, very interesting. The fastest monetization of the DSF block of Bakri Tibba. A huge round of applause for all of them. While we have displayed it very well, and we are supplying 30,000 standard cubic meter per day of gas towards power generation, a similar call of duty is emerging in the eastern part of the country in Tripura. We have a commitment. I would call upon the entire field headquarter and Tripura asset responsible persons to ensure that by 31st March or before, we must monetize our Tulamara DSF. We have already done the first well. We intend to drill 3 more wells, but that's on track. Having done so, we have recently also achieved something very, very unique. I'm very glad, and I must compliment the ERP team, which is a collective effort of Oil India Limited, to ensure that we have S4 HANA upgrade for our entire ERP resource planning. A huge round of applause for the entire ERP team. Recently, we have launched it successfully. I'm aware that there are some initial teething problems, but I would urge each one of you, and not only you who are listening now across Oil India Limited, to do something very, very basic, to record and report everything that is required to be in those ERP platform. It's very essential. What we have done, by virtue of having a legacy or a vintage oil company, we are missing out on reporting our facts. As we progress, as a Maharatna company with a 50,000 crore turnover, a net worth, we are now required to offer a certain level of assurance to our stakeholders, to our shareholders. That's something which is called BRSR. So in addition to the annual report that we publish every year, enumerating our performances, it is BRSR which will have a major requirement. If we don't report right numbers, if we don't report the factual activities and our assurances, it does not reflect well. Therefore, it is extremely important that each one of you become sensitive of what exactly you are doing. And I can assure you one thing, whatever little that you are doing in whatever portfolio you are holding, you are actually contributing to the greater cause of Oil India Limited and at a large or a macro scale to the nation building. While our import bill in terms of crude oil import is hovering around 140 billion US dollar, and last May our import percentage was about 90% depending on the consumption of crude oil, or natural gas it is 50%. So every drop of oil that we get out from surface, subsurface is a huge contribution. While doing so, one thing we must all know, that gone are the days where we were getting a realization or price realization, as they say, to the tune of 80 to 85 US dollar. All of you should know the current realization as per the Q1 results that we have published, it is only $66 per barrel. That's a drop of 22%. The only thing that matters today is enhanced production. Only then we can get back to those turnover numbers. So I would call upon every individual in Oil India Limited with a single point agenda. Do whatever you want to do or assign to do it right on the very first day. It is our cost and operational efficiency which will take us places, nothing else. Unfortunate, but I must acknowledge that there has been some incidents resulting some fatal injury, not good for any company like us. I would call upon every individual in the organization and through each one of you, all the stakeholders, that it is time we perk up our safety questions. While we all celebrated the best safety records of the last financial year, that's 0.071, and by far that was the best in the since inception, we must not let our guard below. Individually and collectively, we are all responsible for what we do, and more importantly, the oil and gas operations that we are doing, safety and safe practice should be the cardinal principle. Therefore, a focus on HSE will be the mainstay going forward. One more thing, it is extremely important now to realize that the operational efficiency is very, very important. And most important is the cost optimization. as part of a committee which has been constituted. The report is awaited. We already had 2 sessions with the committee where some of you are members and you are aware of it. We are seriously mapping which are those areas where we can enhance our productivity. And that can happen by one simple thing, is multi-skilling and more responsibility per person. Every one of you would realize, and when you would have seen the Q1 results, the earning per share has dropped drastically, and so is earning per employee. This is not acceptable. While we are celebrating the Independence Day, it is time for each one of us to take a pledge that our individual contribution has to increase. And I keep saying this, and at the cost of repetition, I must tell again, if every individual gives us 10% more, it is not a sum of 10%, it is a cumulative exponential growth, and that's what called Kaizen effect, and that is what is a multiplier effect is required today. We have got another 6 to 7 or 8 months to go, and we must perk up for a fantastic result as we have celebrated last year. I must compliment the entire Oil India fraternity for having secured excellence MOU rating for last 3 years consecutively. A huge round of applause for that. But we should not stop there. While our effort is on to have a similar feat this year, the year 25-26, we must script a similar feat as well. It not only gives us a kind of self-assurance, it gives us a brand visibility that is called Oil India Limited. And that is so dear to each one of us. I must share something more interesting. As part of our focused attention for capacity building, recently we have launched a flagship training program called Arohan. Some of you must have already got some certain communications, and as you all know, we are going to have a kind of selection procedure where the identified shortlisted officers of Oil India Limited will appear for a test. We are going to handpick, by virtue of your performances, 32 officers of Oil India Limited and 8 officers of NRL to have 40 people, 10 groups, 4 officers in 1 group each, for a rigorous 8-month training program. The idea is these 40 people will be the future leadership pipeline of Oil India Limited. We would look forward to having a serious but more sincere engagement of these 40 officers. That does not mean people who are left behind are left behind. No. We would have a concurrent program like this to look after similar kind of pipelines, so that after 8 months of rigorous training, each one of you will have a different persona personified. You will not only have your soft skills sharpened, your technical thinking faculty will also improve. And we would like to see all of those participants be the flag bearer of Oil India. That's what we are so proud of. Before I conclude, I must thank all the individuals of Oil India Limited, but as I always do, the better halves, the spouses and the families of Oil India Limited. We always acknowledge with deep sense of gratitude for your contributions and sacrifices, without which our officers, our field force, our workers, our workmen, our security personnel will not find enough grit and courage to perform what they are outperforming on a daily basis. Once again, my best compliments to each one of you on this momentous day. Before I conclude, I will share something very interesting. Recently, we have diversified to critical minerals, as all of you would know. We have got two blocks. One is a graphite and a vanadium block in Arunachal Pradesh, and one is a potash block in Rajasthan. And more so, we are also looking at overseas assets in critical minerals. In a similar manner, under OLP 9, we have secured about 40,000 square kilometer of area in Mahanadi and KG basin. These are all category 2 basins, deep and ultra deep water exploration acreage. And I am told the seismic 3D and 2D data acquisition we are going to launch very soon. Why am I sharing this with you? If some of you or all of you would have listened to Honorable Prime Minister's speech today from the ramparts of Red Fort, he emphasized two things. In the energy landscape of this energy-hungry country that is India, he reiterated and launched two specific missions. One is National Deep Water Exploration Mission, where a corpus is identified or designated by Government of India for a focused and concerted strategy-driven exploration in deep and ultra-deep waters. And Oil India will remain committed to this clarion call of Honorable Minister and Honorable Prime Minister of this country. In a similar manner, Honorable Prime Minister also talked about the National Critical Mineral Mission, where a corpus has already been identified to enhance exploration and production and also overseas asset acquisitions, with identified public sector undertakings in which Oil India is also reflected. And that's what we are also pursuing our diversified initiatives aligned to the national priorities. So all the best to each one of you, and I'm sure time will tell how much successful we will to be aligned, and not only to be aligned but also to contribute. And the whole country requires the biggest discovery of hydrocarbon. And that's the single agenda for Oil India Limited. Thank you very much.